Just start. Craig, you can let me know when it's recording.
Yeah, good to go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So I'd just like to welcome everybody to the meeting and open the meeting. We have apologies from Alderman Sexton and Councillor Ewan. There are no leave of absence. Is that correct?
Chair, they are leave of absence, Chair.
Leave of absences. Yep, they're a leave of absence. Sorry. So we'll move on to number 1, co-option of a committee member, and we have our quorum, so we don't need to do that. Number 2, confirmation of minutes. Can I have somebody move the minutes, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Any dissent? No, being none, we'll move on to item number 3, consideration of supplementary items. Being none, we'll move on to number 4, indications of pecuniary and conflicts of interest. Are there any?
No.
Being none, we'll move on to number 5, transfer of agenda items. Would anybody like to transfer any items? No. Move on to number 6, reports, 6.1, Hobart Current 2023. And before I open the item for discussion, perhaps we'll just have the Director give us just a little bit of an overview and then go on to the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. So the purpose of this report tonight is to seek committee and then ultimately Council's endorsement to continue with the Hobart Current multi-art exhibition model. Elected members will be aware that previously for many years we had the Hobart Art Prize. I think, which it's safe to say for a number of reasons, probably reached the end of its useful life. And Jane Castle and Kimbra Parker and their teams did a lot of consultation in the arts community to understand what was needed and what would be appreciated and what would also support the arts industry as well as meet Council's needs. And so in March this year, you would have all seen that we had the first iteration of Hobart Current as a partnership with the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery. And you can see there through the report, we would regard that as having been very successful. And, you know, really for our first go, probably surpassed our expectations. So we're particularly thrilled with it in terms of I guess, the art outcomes that it achieved, with the community outcomes that it achieved, and Council's involvement. So, look, Jane's got a presentation to take you through, which will give you a bit more detail, and then if you want, Chair, we can have discussion after that.
Yes, thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Tim. There it is. Yes, so I'll just whiz through the past, present and future of Hobart Current. So first 3 slides really give some background, which Tim just alluded to, and the clicker's not working.
Just wake it up. So the middle one?
Yep. Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so the history, and particularly I suppose Councillor Harvey, as you'll be aware, because you were part of this process. So the City of Hobart Art Prize was a program that we ran for 27 years. It had an annual budget of $108,206, and we had 2 prizes annually of $15,000 each, so $30,000 in prize money. And then it cost us $78,000 to hire the venue, to pay judges, pay for accommodation, have an opening and a catalogue, and you know, that kind of stuff. So from the City of Hobart Art Prize, the challenges that we identified were that in a prize model, only the winners get paid and everyone else works for free. The model of the prize was pretty tired, so that level of prize money of $15,000 per prize is really low, particularly when you have a look down the road and Hadley's have one single prize for $100,000. We also developed the Creative Hobart strategy, and the prize model was really not aligned with Creative Hobart. There's also a freight issue for the art prize. So when we had interstate entrants, they would have to ship their works across, which was a real barrier for entry for anyone not in Tasmania. So it wasn't really a level playing field. The non-arts community wasn't particularly engaged as a very high-end arts product, and the general community weren't particularly aware of the City of Hobart Art Prize. Also, it was quite a large investment purely in visual art, craft and design. So nothing in it for performance, music or any other creative arts. A really low proportion, to be honest, a concerningly low proportion of the program budget is actually going to artists, 30,000 out of 108. And if you look at something like our grants model, 100% of the funding goes to people's projects. And also with a prize, there are no flow-on effects or legacy often for the local community. So we would give a $15,000 prize to someone from Darwin, they would take the cash and go back to Darwin. So, you know, that being a bit of a problem. The value, as identified, of the art prize was that it was a really good developmental opportunity for local artists. So very prestigious, particularly for emerging artists, to have been shortlisted for the art prize, and lots of visual artists in the art community aspiring to be part of the art prize. And also it was a very prestigious program being hosted in TMAG. So as Tim spoke about, after 27 years we undertook an extensive review, and up there you can see we had roundtables and surveys and written submissions, and really the three options that we were putting to the general community in the arts sector were that we could either retain the art prize in the format that it had been in for 27 years. We could revise it, so still keep some kind of program of that kind, but change it to make it more relevant, or replace it totally and put the money into the city's public art program or into our grants program. From all the submissions and the feedback we got, overwhelmingly people wanted us to revise the City of Hobart Art Prize. So Hobart Current was born. So what we attempted to do was synthesise the things that were good about the prize and not lose them, and then align it with the Creative Hobart strategy and work out what more we could do. So just, I suppose, in headline, it's a biennial program, so a quick way to double your budget is to have it every 2 years rather than every year, so 108,000 times 2. We decided to do the new program in partnership with TMAG again, and the inaugural exhibition was in March this year. So just to explain quickly what the parts of Hobart Current are, very different to an art prize model. So the first departure really is the fact that we had a creative director, and I think several of you will have met Rosie Dennis. And we asked the creative director to develop a theme, and Rosie's theme was liberty, which turned out to be incredibly timely given there was a pandemic in the middle of the whole process. So the creative director selects 10 artists, and that selection process is based on the excellence of their practice. And then the creative director mentors and promotes the artists over an 18-month period. So it kind of gives us a really independent voice that isn't part of the City of Hobart and isn't part of TMAG. And it's kind of aspirational for the artists to work with someone like a creative director. So the next aspect of Hobart Current is the artists. So we have 10 artists, and rather than competing against each other and potentially working for free, each of the participants is paid $15,000 to develop new work, all responding to the theme of liberty. The majority of the 10 are Tasmanian, so a minimum of 6 of the participants will be Tasmanian. Interestingly, in this instance, all the Tasmanians ended up being from Hobart. The artists can be any creative discipline, so they could work in film, writing, performance, music and visual art. As I said before, just selected on the fact that they do amazing stuff. So any one year we could have 6 writers or 6 sculptors if the creative director thought their work was excellent. And at least one Tasmanian First Nations artist, who in this case in 2021 was Cinsa Mansell. Another new aspect is that as opposed to all the works being in the gallery, which they were with the City of Hobart Art Prize, we had 8 in the gallery and 2 in public space. And given that we run a public art program and that Creative Hobart strategy is all about engaging the community in arts and culture, putting work out of the gallery is a really great way to be able to do that. So we had 2 works. One is Brigitte Osland's. I'm sure everyone saw her I Raise Up My Voice project on 85 Macquarie Street. And Cinsa Mansell did a sound work called Liberating Country in Franklin Square. It says here that the outdoor works increased engagement with the program, and actually there were over 1 million vehicles that drove past Brigitte's work. So that's a massive amount of exposure. The other thing that we're really keen to do when we talk about engaging the community with this program is TMAG ran really great education programs. So over a 6-month period, they partnered 4 of the artists with 4 schools, so art classes. So Mount Carmel, Huonville, Lilydale and MacKillop all had kind of an artist in residence as one of the Hobart Current artists, and each of those classes also made work responding to the theme of liberty. And then students from those schools came and saw the exhibition. Also, we had public programs. So our amazing cultural development coordinator, Sue Hayes, who is here, developed and ran a series of programs. So we had Liberty Loop Films of the People, a postcard exhibition, soapbox billboards, and young people making art for art on artery. So really increasing the surface area of the Hobart Current program beyond visual artists. So in terms of visitation, what was the impact of this program? And so almost 30,000 people attended the Hobart Current exhibition over a 2-month period while it was in TMAG. We have a Hobart Current website, and it had more than 15,000 sessions by 7,000.
Welcome to today's virtual event. It's great to have you join us as one of our virtual attendees.
Who is that? Well, that's just spooky.
Bill, I think your mic is on. You might want to mute. Councillor Harvey, sorry.
And so there were Hobart Current posts on TMAG's Facebook page, which were viewed by almost 35,000 people. And then the Creative Hobart Instagram, we had 10,000 people and 915 likes. So it was something where there was actually quite a massive response to this program. And finally, I know that's a bit small to read, but I just want to read some of the direct feedback to the program. So Janet Carding, the director of TMAG, about Hobart Current, she said, for TMAG, the collaboration with the City of Hobart meant that we were able to join forces and support living contemporary artists from Hobart and beyond. Hobart Current Liberty has set a brilliant foundation for how we can magnify the careers and voices of our emerging and diverse artists. The creative director for the program, Rosie Dennis, said, overwhelmingly artists I spoke to about Hobart Current were excited by the framework and the future possibility of a new biennale in Hobart that placed Tasmanian professional practice at its core. And finally, feedback from 2 of the artists in the program. So one, Jacob Leary, who's a Hobart-based artist whose studio is on Argyle Street, said that for him Hobart Current was a fantastic opportunity. The ability to work towards a generously funded commission hosted at a space of that calibre was exciting. This chance was a real motivating force for me to produce work over the 2019 period, and saw the production of one of the most ambitious installations I've made to date. Hobart Current has been a pivotal element in pushing my practice to a higher standard, and it will no doubt add to the future development of my work. Finally, Jagath, who's a Sydney-based artist, said that he felt really privileged to be an artist in Hobart Current, and that it was truly remarkable how the inaugural program navigated through to showcase a wonderfully diverse collection of art. I'm an artist who was born in Sri Lanka and settled in Australia in 2008. My work originated from my personal experience in the political violence of extreme torture. As a survivor, being able to tell my story and in a safe and supportive space empowered me and immensely helped me advance in the process of personal healing. So 4 diverse perceptions of the program, but I think, kind of clearly shows the positive impact on artists. So the future, and really the recommendation in the report is, given the positive response from the community, the arts sector and media, and significant outcomes for council's investment, we're seeking endorsement to continue to Hobart Current in 2023 and beyond. And I suppose finally, personally, as someone who was really involved in the development of the program, I actually didn't hear one negative comment about it. Now, we all know working for council, people can be, pretty quick to criticise what we do. And it feels like particularly the arts sector really appreciated the generosity of commissioning local artists. So all the feedback was really good, and I also brought along Island magazine did a 6-page article about Hobart Current, and we've kind of got a series of clippings here. It got sort of massively positive media exposure throughout Hobart as well. Are there any questions?
Happy for questions, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. Can I just have somebody move the recommendation, and then I'll open up for any questions? Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Yes, are there any questions at all? Comments?
Yes, Chair. Yeah, look, I attended the opening and private viewing I think we had as well, and I was really impressed with the exhibition, but I was also impressed with the way it was delivered. And right at the very start, we had a chance to meet the curator, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and we got to know the curator reasonably well, Rosie, I think, and I did speak to a couple of the artists, and I was very impressed with how we've gone from what we had to what this now is, and I'm really pleased to see us continue it. So I'm happy to move the recommendation, and I look forward to the 2023 iteration.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Are there any more questions?
I have.
Yes, I have see your hand. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just 3 observations. Firstly, why has it taken 27 years for you to realise that this wasn't as good as now what you have currently? That's one observation. Observation number 2 is how were the schools chosen? You mentioned 4 schools.
Yep.
What's the criteria?
Yep.
And the third observation I make is that while everything has been very positive, I hear some criticism from the community that we have spent $10,000 in arts and it's a waste of money during this COVID time.
Yes.
How would you respond to that?
Yes. Yes. So your first question, what was your first question?
The first question was 27 years. That's a long time.
Oh, yeah. No. Well, that's because for probably 23 of those years, it was a really successful project and really well respected. And I think probably the landscape, or the cultural landscape in Hobart, changed, became more contemporary. We had the advent of Mona, and also the city clarified its role in terms of the arts through the process of the development of the Creative Hobart strategy. So it was probably only the last 3 or 4 years that it became quite tired and needed to be refreshed. So, it wasn't a problem for most of that time, and in fact was really important in the development of the arts sector through that 25-year period. So the second question was, how were the schools chosen? So that was run by TMAG, and they had an expression of interest process for any schools in the greater Hobart area, or actually in southern Tasmania, who wanted to participate. And I think probably all the schools who expressed interest were chosen.
Right.
And the third one is that, with anything we do in the arts, because it's kind of not one of those critical issues around health and education or housing, it's often perceived as a luxury. But I would say, particularly during this time of COVID, that the cultural sector has been hit as hard or harder than any, and that our money isn't being wasted. It's actually going to pay for and support local practitioners. So it's not like we're keeping the money or we're throwing it away. We're actually developing our local community.
And I think too, Councillor Dutta, we know through the work we did with the community and the vision that the creative sector and the arts is really critically and highly valued part of our community. And the other thing we learnt really clearly through the grants program that we pivoted last year around COVID was the community was just wanting to celebrate stuff as well, you know, and have some things that actually took their minds away from the difficulties that COVID were presenting people. And that was a very strong theme that came through the grants program. And we took a lot of confidence from that in terms of what we're doing in this space as well.
I think that particularly as a capital city, and we are well known to be a destination for cultural tourism and kind of a capital of arts and culture, there's an expectation as a capital city that we will be having vibrant arts programs and investing in the arts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any further discussions or comments, questions, observations? No? Can I, so we'll put that motion. Is there any dissent? No, being none, I consider that carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for your presentation as well. Appreciate it.
It's all right, thank you.
Thank you. Well done. We'll move on to item 6.2, community commitments, final endorsement. And before, once again, before I ask for somebody to move it, if I could just ask the director to give us an overview. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. And I'd note that we've got Kimbra and Sophie with us as well as the principal architects of the commitments. So you'll recall that you had previously endorsed the drafts of these documents to go out for community consultation. And just a reminder of the context, these sit under our social inclusion, equity framework and policy. And the commitments are very much about guiding our work as a team now over the next 2 years. So that's why they've got actions in them. Because it is now all about what we as a team will do. And I think really importantly for you as elected members that you should take confidence that everything about this suite of documents has been founded in consultation with the sector and the community. And I think that's very important. You know, I know that people at times, or members of the community, will question why does council do this or why does council do that. Well, you can take complete confidence in this suite of documents that it is founded in what the communities of interest in these sectors are telling us that they see is the role of council in this space. So there are 6 commitments before you tonight, the final endorsement. 5 of them are revisions of work we have previously done in this space, but they're now presented as a commitment rather than strategies. And the 6th one, being the LGBTIQ+ commitment, is a brand new commitment, and that did come out of the first round of community consultation we undertook in this space earlier this year, that it was missing and that council should have a separate commitment in this space. So you'll have read from the report, we had 29, I think, representations and 5 formal submissions. Again, you would have read most of them were in relation to the LGBTIQ+ commitment, which again is not surprising given it's a brand new commitment to the council. So we've attached the summary consultation report for you to have a look at, so you'll get a gist of the comments that we received. And really, Chair, happy to take questions and hear discussion.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any comments or discussion on this issue? No? No hands up? Oh yeah, Councillor Dutta. Yes.
No, I was sorry, Chair, I was waiting for Alderman, Councillor Harvey, sorry. But seeing that he hasn't taken the opportunity, I will. Just a few observations again. With regards to consultation, you know, it has been a hot issue recently. Do you have evidence that you have consulted?
Yeah, so through you, Chair, Councillor Dutta, we obviously have used the formal channel, Your Say, which is really clearly evidenced through that system, and we have that all on record. And then for each of the commitments, we also had lots of those face-to-face conversations with the sector. and with some formal written responses as well. But really the bulk of the feedback came through those sector conversations, so they're all documented through minutes, and we have that in the engagement report, but also all those original documents as well. Yeah.
Thank you. The other question that I have, and I've already discussed this with the director, but I thought I'd just bring it up here now. You know, the Aboriginal community aspect of it, which has already been done. Now, what will be the next level or the next phase? How are we going to lift it to another level?
Great question, thank you. That will be the next step. So we're coming towards the end of that. So it finishes in January next year, the current Aboriginal Commitment and Action Plan. And what we're planning to do with that is to go to community, come to elected members and talk to the staff body again like we did the first time to say, how do we track with what we've done so far, you know, reporting back on that, and what do you want us to do next? So what's that next phase? And you know, there are some actions within that plan that will continue to deliver, and there will be new actions, I'm sure. So we're really excited to hear what that might be. Yeah.
Thank you.
That will be early, you know, through the first part of next year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you very much for that. Councillor Harvey, any comments?
Look, I don't have a lot of comments, or I haven't picked through it looking for particular bits. But I just want to say that we've done a great body of work here, and I hope this adds value to what we do, and we'll all have the opportunity to read them again. Like I haven't been able to memorise them or absorb all the content. I've looked at it, but I haven't got a depth of knowledge to be able to, you know, debate the issues, because I haven't found any issues that I needed to raise, other than I'm pleased that we've produced this body of work which will help guide the way we operate and the way we think and respond to things.
Yes, thank you very much for that, and I would just like to commend the staff. Well done. Really, really great work. Thank you so much. So we'll just vote on it now. It's been moved by Councillor Harvey. Was it moved by you?
Happy to move it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any dissent? No, being none, I'll consider that carried unanimously. Thank you very much. 6.3 Tasmania's own market site fees. Director, would you like to give an overview of that before I...
Yes, Chairman, thank you. Look, this is clearly there has been some commentary in recent weeks about the market and about clearly the reduced number of visitors to the market at the moment because of the situation on the mainland. And there's been some commentary around the fees for stallholders at the market. Now I think it's, and I took that we had a question the other night at Finance Committee. I think it's fair to say there are quite mixed views from stallholders around the fee structure at the market, and also where council can best help stallholders and the market, and it's not necessarily through fees. It might be, but it's not necessarily only through the fee mechanism. It might be around promotion, for example, or increased promotion. So, and with the ever-changing situation on the mainland and visitation, rather than coming to you with one-off solution around the fees, we felt it was far more prudent, if you're comfortable, for just the remainder of this financial year, so not permanently, just for the remainder of this year, that you resolve to give a delegation to the CEO to make decisions around the fee structure as may be appropriate from time to time for the rest of this year. So yes, Chair, it's kind of that simple, but very happy to take questions. And I've got Iris Gertsky here as well.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments?
Yeah, Chair, look, I've got a comment. I've been super impressed with the way we've been able to keep the market running, the way we've been able to work with the stallholders and adjust and change as required throughout this COVID period. And I'm nothing but impressed with the way we've delivered Tasmania's own market, because it's been above and beyond, you know, to keep this thing going, and to have stallholders who have said, who I've spoken to, who have said they've had a great they've had excellent profits during this period because the local people have come down and supported the market. That week, 2 weeks ago, when I visited the market and I got hit by a tumbleweed, was probably the worst it's been. But that said, that was quite an exception, as I understand. And even last week, the market improved significantly on that really, terrible market a couple of weeks back. But I can honestly say the council officers have done a brilliant job making sure that the market has continued to operate through this COVID period, and I think the stallholders, or majority of stallholders, have really appreciated what's happened. And I chair the Market Stall Council committee, and it's been terrific to hear the comments, and it's been positive. There's still friction at times, so it's not a love in, but it's been really positive the way the council and the stallholders have been able to work collaboratively to achieve something that at the start of all of this we probably thought, well, where's this going to go? But I think we've done a really good job. Well, the officers have done a really good job in collaboration with the stallholders. So well done for the efforts you've put in and for the results you've achieved.
Thank you, Councillor Harvey. Thank you. Yes, Councillor Dutta.
Thank you. Again, I would just want to say thank you to the staff for the way things are moving, especially in this committee and the various issues that you have looked at in the presentation. With regards to, say, for example, if you're going to lower the fees, how is it going to impact on the budgets, for example? That's one question. And question number two, that was brought to me by a community member. The volunteers who work there, what's the fair work relationship with regards to volunteers who work? Is there some sort of an arrangement?
Absolutely. If we make a decision to reduce the stallholder fees, it will have an impact on council's budget. We have tried to structure this year's market budget to roughly break even. And so any reduction in fees will affect that position. But we've also got to be mindful, we try to support 230 odd small businesses here, and so we will take that into account. And I think in seeking the delegation to the CEO, we acknowledge we need to be very flexible from week to week or fortnight to fortnight. So it might be that while for a period of significant lockdown on the mainland, perhaps we need to drop for a few weeks, but we want that flexibility, to be able to honestly and authentically put the fees up again, should trading conditions, return. So, and now in regards to your second question, absolutely, we have to be very mindful at all times when we use volunteers, and the Fair Work Act is very clear that you can't use volunteers in a situation that was previously and normally a paid position. And we always have that at the top of mind with any of our volunteer programs. It's very, very important to the council. Clearly we're in a very unique situation with the market, and it is fair to say that without the enormous contribution of volunteers, we would absolutely struggle to put on Tasmania's own market at the moment, and to maintain the fee structure that we have in place. It's no secret that to operate the market in a COVID-safe manner comes at a significant extra cost to the council. And we are just so thankful of the volunteer contribution to the market. And I know that Iris and her team have done a lot of work in consulting with and surveying anonymously the volunteers. And Iris, you might like to give a bit of a very just off the top how that's gone, what sort of feedback you're getting from the volunteers.
We're receiving excellent feedback, thank you for asking. We've surveyed them on numerous occasions, and those surveys have revealed to us what they would like to see from the city in terms of supporting their experience at the market. So, and we've responded directly to that, so we've been able to respond in terms of their physical comfort at the market by providing them with extra shelter and seating and so forth. We accommodate them on site with refreshments to ensure that they are hydrated and are kept warm through warm drinks. The social aspect of the market amongst each other, amongst themselves as volunteers, but also engaging with the public and our market crews is something that's very valuable for our volunteers, and that's something that encourages them to return regularly. And we acknowledge them in terms of how we communicate with them regularly, and we very much validate their experience in any way we can, to be perfectly frank. We've promoted them publicly through our communications channels, and at every point it is a gesture of thanks, because it's a very sincere expression of how we feel for the volunteering that we receive.
Just a follow-up question from the first question. The director mentioned 230 businesses. Now, it's my understanding that there are some people who are retired, have stalls there. There are some people who work full-time, and some of them, even doctors, have stores there. Now, do all of them qualify for, because they have, this is an additional, a fun thing, as it were. It's a hobby. So does this mean that everybody with a store, or will there be a criteria as to who qualifies?
Well, Chair, through you, to operate as a business, they would all have to have an ABN. Some of them will have GST registration and some of them won't, because of the turnover threshold. But we don't, in terms of whether they are eligible to have a stall at the market, whether it's a sole trader or whether it's a couple or a partnership, or whether it's actually a company, that in itself is not a criteria to have a stall. It is about what is the product that they're offering, and where does it fit within the context of the market. So you're quite right. So, and that frankly is one of the beauties of the market, is we have that diversity of stallholder type.
So just a follow-up question. So when we are looking at the fee, it will just apply everybody, to everyone equally?
Might just throw to Iris to give a bit more detail on that one.
I can. Through you, Chair, no decision has been made about a reduction of fees at this point in time. This report is seeking the support of the Council to enable us to do so should the need arise. At present, we regularly engage with our stallholders through a variety of means, and we often survey our stallholders in their entirety, so our entire stallholder cohort. We're planning to do so again to provide us with the sort of necessary insights that we need to understand what their experience is at the market. So if we ask them a range of questions, that will reveal to us whether, in fact, a fee reduction at this time is the most appropriate response to the conditions that they're experiencing at the market.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. And just I would like to say as well, thank you very much to Iris and the team, and to everybody there who's involved in doing such wonderful work down at the Salamanca market. Really, truly well done. And just on the issue of the cohort of volunteers as well, there's such wonderful things that the City of Hobart does as well. Those different things that I've been to with the volunteers, and the pizza nights, or the pizza evening, afternoon. It was really great. So thank you so much. You did wonderful work. Councillor Dutta, would you like to move this motion, this item?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. So moved by Councillor Dutta. Any dissent?
No.
No. Carried unanimously.
Mute.
Okay, on mute, Chair.
Sorry about that. Don't know how that happened. Did you get the gist of it?
We heard everything up until you said welcome, good evening.
It's the vibe.
Thanks.
Councillor.
So we'll just move on to 6.4. Can I just have somebody move that be received and noted?
I move.
Councillor Dutta, thank you very much. Was there any comments, questions? No. Any dissent? No. Being none, consider that carried unanimously. Move on to number 7, committee action status report 7.1. Can I have somebody move that be received and noted? Councillor Harvey, thank you very much. Any comments? No. Being none, any dissent? No, consider that carried unanimously. Number 8, questions without notice. Any questions? No, being none, we'll now move on to number 9. Can I have somebody move that we close the open portion of the meeting?
I move.
Yeah. Dutta, thank you very much.